I saw him standing in the parking lot. Pull off. I was inside the produce department, which is right by the front door, and I saw him popping people off, and I was like, this is crazy. So to deter him, I started just chunking bottles. I just started throwing random bottles at him.
The suspect made his way into the Walmart, continuing to fire. Inside the store, additional victims were shot, many caught by surprise as they shopped with their families or waited in line at checkout. Surveillance footage showed people running for cover, ducking behind shelves, cash registers, and product display.
And I'm not a baseball player, so one went this way and one went that way, and then one went right towards him, and then that's when he saw me and just started, and I ducked and I was behind the chips, and so I ducked, and he just boom, 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 started firing off rounds at me, and I was like, oh my God, this guy's shooting at me.
Because I was the hunted, and now I'm the hunter. It's a big difference. Big difference.
Hi, everybody. This is 1,856 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room and his life was taken from him brutally. And it is August 31st, 2025. And let's see if I'm on. Let's see if you can hear me. Yeah. And I just played, and I think I'll play it again. I'm gonna make myself get good at this, switching this, showing different videos and making really important points here with hard evidence. And that video from CNN and also from YouTube, the DPS released a interrogation of Patrick Crucius that really gave us a lot of insight into additional insight into what really happened, because we know that we've been lied to. Absolutely. If you haven't watched it, I just posted it up on Facebook. I'll post it up on other platforms as well. But I think it's very important to know who Ernest Christopher Grant is, and his relationship with this Walmart mass shooting that happened in 2019. And it is important in this time where the news cycle goes so fast. It just is so fast. It's so important to have a memory in order to get justice, because the Walmart mass shooting is intertwined with Richard. And for the longest time, we knew it was intertwined. And we've been saying it for years. But we didn't know exactly why it was so intertwined. And now we know. We have enough evidence, enough hard evidence to tell you that Richard's unit was involved in the orchestration of the Walmart mass shooting. The cover-up, absolutely the cover-up of the Walmart mass shooting, both, and that the whole narrative of Patrick Crucius not knowing anybody in El Paso is the biggest lie, the absolute biggest lie. His family, and he was absolutely dug in El Paso. Yes, he lived in the Allen area of Dallas, absolutely too. But his family was absolutely dug in El Paso. What do I mean by dug in? I'm talking about in the managing the federal courthouse, and jobs in the DA's office, jobs in the FBI, jobs in Walmart cybersecurity, um, connections all over and all over with the lawyers, the judicial system, the law enforcement, um, mental health in the hospitals and Texas Tech, University Health Science Center, absolutely everywhere. His family was dug in. Very important roles, very important connections, um, very important covers, right? Covers, and all the evidence. Not me, not me at all. All the evidence has blinking arrows that point to the orchestration of the Walmart mass shooting case to target President Trump, his administration, his border policies, and to hurt his reelection campaign for 2020. All of it points to that. And what does that have to do with Richard? Because Richard's unit is a- absolutely intertwined with this orchestration and the cover up. That means the military, Fort Bliss, was involved in the orchestration and the cover up of the Walmart mass shooting. That means there was a mutiny because the target was the President of the United States, the Commander in Chief, the Chief Magistrate, right, the Chief Law Enforcer of our country. That was the target. He was the target. President Donald John Trump was the target, not from me wanting it to be, not anyone else saying it. It's the evidence. The evidence absolutely is like neon lights to it. And we all know now that more and more evidence is coming out that confirms that the intelligence community were absolutely colluding and conspiring against the President of the United States, his administration, and the reelection campaign for him in 2020, starting already in 2016, right after in December of 2016. That's not me saying it. That's reported in the news with a lot of fact checking, right? That is a lot of years of fact checking, a lot of years of wanting to get that out by individuals that were, I would say, collateral damage, right? Collateral damage, and and knew that this was absolutely an attack on the president, and that makes it a mutiny. Okay, it absolutely, this is a treasonous mutiny. And so, because Richard's murder case, well, Richard's the retaliation, all of the crimes that were committed against him before they took his life, um, is just so egregious. And then the taking of his life is, worthy of the death penalty because it was a conspiracy, it was a collaboration. Um, Richard was President Trump's whistleblower. Um, what does that mean? Whether he knew it or not, he got on to Fort Bliss and he said, "This isn't right," and that whether he knew the Walmart mass shooting uh, narrative was um, aimed at hurting and destroying President Trump's uh, policies. I don't know. but I do know that Richard knew something. Um, I do know that he absolutely 100% is a whistleblower. And I absolutely know that he knew about the Walmart mass shooting and reported it. And that is why they took his life. That is why. And it's involved with the cartel because that is why they did the counterintelligence psyop by assigning him the billionaire cartel El Mayo's lawyer, Ray Velarde, to uh, to be his um, lawyer, and really what it was a counterintelligence move. And we know that the intelligence community was absolutely doing these kinds of moves. We know that they would stop at nothing. Nothing was too low, nothing was off limits, and this was absolutely a mutiny on President Trump. And Richard reported it, reported the mutiny, and uh, and that's why they had to kill him. Um, Glennon Oakley Jr. reported the multiple shooters, and that's why in April 8th, I believe in 2020, he was also found not alive. And I know there's many other witnesses that they silenced, and the narrative was out. The false narrative was amplified through the media, as you saw in the video, and I'll show it again. As you saw in the video, the CNN video, it was amplified by Chris Cuomo, who absolutely knew that this was what it was, because right there on the desk, if you watch the entire video, you'll see the sign on the desk, El Paso Strong. They already had a theme picked out for this, and that is that day, I believe, is like let's see, it happened on the 3rd. I think that was the 5th. Very, very quick um, publication of everything. You know, it, this was produced, absolutely produced. And if you look at it as much as we have over and over and over again, then it becomes very clear. The fog lifts and you see for what it is. And now, over 6 years later, it has been confirmed over and over and over again that Ernest Christopher Grant is a liar, that he is a criminal, that they did not tell us in the news back in 2020 when they made him a media sweetheart, because this interview that I just showed, it was just that's just one little feature of Ernest Christopher Grant. Ernest Christopher Grant, for weeks and weeks, I would say even months, was the media sweetheart, even after the El Paso Police Department said that what he said was untrue. They didn't even arrest him for lying to uh, law enforcement. They didn't even arrest him for that. Even though he had an open arrest warrant, he had been arrested multiple times before. Um, so he was a known criminal in the area, absolutely a known criminal. It wasn't a secret. But they kept that from us, and they made him, this media sweetheart to um, to spread the fake news that, and it got more vile and vulgar than what I just showed. The chucking soda bottles, which was absolutely fake and false. And we have the video now of Patrick Crucius coming in, and no sign of any chucking of of soda bottles. I don't see any soda bottles out of place. I don't see any soda. Soda explodes when you chuck it, right? It explodes. Um, there's no sign of anything like that. And we have multiple videos, um, even clearer than what I just showed you. And maybe I should put them up. I mean, I have put them up. You can go to the Facebook of the German national, Alexander Gerhard Hoffmann. There's no that's the door that Ernest Christopher Grant is talking about here, lying about. Absolutely a big fat liar. He should be arrested for that. Well, oh, a matter of fact, he was arrested. He was just recently arrested this year. And that's the news that no one's sharing. Why isn't the news sharing their media sweetheart now? They had no problem, uh, on every channel, um, featuring Ernest Christopher Grant. And now that he's been arrested, I haven't seen any news revisit his vile and vulgar lies. I mean, they were so bad, y'all. They were so bad, so divisive, so untrue. Um, to promote and to spread a false narrative of the white supremacy, which is total lie, a racist um, uh, agenda against President Trump, which was all a lie. He absolutely, I hope they just throw the book at him for all of the lies, for the deception that he spread. And I hope that the media is held accountable because part of the deception, part of the narrative, sorry, was um, was gun control, right? Was gun control. So they turned it in. It was totally politics. He was even given a an audience with Governor Abbott, okay, on gun control, on gun control. After and Governor Abbott absolutely knew that he was a criminal, that he needed to be arrested, that he had lied to law enforcement, that he spread a false narrative about the Walmart mass shooting against President Trump. He absolutely, everyone knew it. Everyone knew it. That was anybody in the business and in politics. They knew it. And, this is how sick, how just egregious our media and our politics have gotten. And they use taxpayer money to do it. Or they um well, they find a way. They find a way, but absolutely the law enforcement and the judicial, they absolutely knew that what Ernest Christopher Grant had done was a huge crime, a huge crime. And just a device of the oh gosh, the absolute disgusting lies that he told. That it still makes my skin crawl. Um, so I don't know how many years he can get for doing that, but I'm very glad that he's arrested. There's so many others that I want arrested and just the book thrown at them. I mean, it just, and when you're throwing law books at someone nowadays, our law books, they're they've gotten so out of hand that it takes buildings and buildings to contain them, right? So throwing the law books at Christopher Grant and those that have participated in this huge crime, yeah, that would bury bury them in a lot of volumes of law books. Yeah, that would be appropriate. Um, the thing about Ernest Christopher Grant, besides besides all his criminality and his his acting, his showboating for fake news, and all of that, is his connections. Okay, and he has so many connections, y'all, that are not good connections. That are not good connections. He's such a criminal. And that's shocking when you find out that he, uh, he's also connected because he lived on the same road, on the same street as another victim. And that's David Johnson. And David Johnson was killed that day. He was killed that day on August 3rd, 2019. And his family have also been kind of media sweethearts. They were some of the chosen that were willing, I guess. I guess they were willing to be in the media and speak out. Um, R.I.P. David Johnson. I wish he was here. I wish he was alive. But he lived on the same street as Ernest Christopher Grant, just a few houses down, not that far down. And David Johnson, uh, his son-in-law is Raul Melendez, who just spoke not too long ago when they, were like, oh, the family doesn't want the death penalty. We want this to be done and all of that. But I don't think that they did because, and this is just my opinion, okay? This is just my opinion, and I might be wrong on this one. But they had a civil suit, and the civil suit that Christopher Grant was involved in, Donna Sifford was involved in, Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia was involved in, many were involved in that they were suing Walmart, which they have a great case because Walmart, sells weapons and didn't have any security that day. Okay. So all the victims have a very, very good case against Walmart, um, and can sue for, millions, millions. But yet, that has slowly just kind of disappeared. It's faded. It's just totally faded. And why would they want it to fade, right? That's a good question. And we know that David Johnson, uh, son-in-law Raul Melendez, is family to the canine cop Jesus Melendez. Okay, uh, that is a very dirty cop, very dirty and very up to no good, and a part of this whole scheme. Part of this whole scheme. Now that with the actions of Ernest Christopher Grant and the actions of Jesus Melendez, um, you know, uh, and being tied, Jesus Melendez is tied to 3905 Bliss Avenue. That puts him absolutely connected before anything happened with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia and family and family. So, you know, eh, when you listen to many of my live streams and you see many of my um, postings that we have put together and made transparent for everyone to see, you will see so much evidence, from Nadal Baim and his connection to the cartel and his connection to Lieutenant Colonel Bradford Bugado in the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM, right? But also his connection with real estate, which is getting bigger and bigger and bigger in this, which makes him connected to Delia Briones, the county clerk, right? The county clerk she's central to this. So when you see Jesus Melendez and Raul Melendez and David Johnson, rest in peace, um, connected to the likes of Ernest Christopher Grant and the likes of the Dirties canine cop. When you see Nadal Baim connected to Manny Chavira through family and through cartel operatives, when you see him connected through family to Gustavo Sanchez, the Texas Ranger, and the cartel operatives as well, that they are all family, and that he's also family with Lieutenant Colonel Bradford Brugado in the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM, and this is all, and that's G3 is operations. And then you see all of the real estate connections with all of this. Um, and then the connection with the Plenitude Crematorium, which is the whole funeral fraud, that they're all connected through the 3905 Bliss Avenue, the Roaches, right? And all those connections with Danae Katzen and the Ambrise and the whole funeral fraud, um, selling bodies multiple times. Um, it's so egregious, it's so disgusting. Um, I can't make it up. I can't make it up. Can you imagine me reporting something like this that was just off the top of my head? I would never even imagine something like this. This is where the evidence absolutely, with neon lights, and you have 400 plus rotting bodies that still need to be identified, and people on the streets wanting to know if they're the body of their loved one um, has been trafficked over and over again. It's kind of like this 14-year-old girl living in the barracks on Fort Bliss being trafficked over and over and over again, filming it to compromise our soldiers in the barracks. And here she is, 14 years old, the daughter and stepdaughter of a gate guard under DES Thomas Kane, and she was living there for 4 months. And now you have them doing this with bodies. Their belly is never full. It gets darker and darker and darker, and they just spiral down into just total depravity. It's just the most disgusting. Can you imagine getting mortar dust in an urn for your loved one and knowing that your loved one has been sold to multiple funeral homes so that they could cash in on like COVID money or unidentified migrant humanitarian aid or things like this, taking advantage of our beautiful system that does care for the body of people, because this is the way they've treated bodies, with piling up bodies left to rot in that absolutely rat infested, disgusting courtyard, right? Courtyard and building. Um, Down in Plenitude Crematorium, the narco crematorium, and not licensed. They're not licensed. They weren't checked, and then connected to the governor and the governor's mother in Chihuahua. Can you imagine? I mean, this was state sanctioned body disposal, trafficking. They were selling those bodies off. Um, Yeah, and absolutely confirmed that they were also torturing, that was a torturing place, um, because this was a cartel operation, a state sanctioned cartel operation. Sinaloa, the Chapatos faction of it, the El Chapo, the Chapatos. Um, and then here you have El Mayo putting up huge signs everywhere, naming the politicians and the officials that he was paying off. Um, uh, because of the different factions between El Mayo and El Chapo, now, having like a civil war inside of the cartels because of selling out El Mayo, right? The selling out of El Mayo, being arrested. Um, it is, when you hear about Fit Femme El Paso and the Chan brothers and connecting that story, those stories to the owner of Plenitude Crematorium's wife, right? So they even and this the Chan brothers were absolutely involved in the Walmart mass shooting case, right? They were absolutely involved in all of that. And here they were doing counterintelligence with FAM El Paso. Okay. So this was an intelligence operation. This was a military a mutiny, absolutely a mutiny because the Chan brothers are both military. Uh, and then to see what's going on with Dreams Cabaret and the connections at Dreams Cabaret to a state trooper, to the county clerk's office. And if I'm confusing you with all of these connections, I've posted up on Facebook. I've posted up images, the stories. Some of them are long. Some of them you really have to take time to read, to understand it, to piece together. But this is extortion of millions of dollars. And not only that, the trafficking of hundreds of thousands of children. This is the trafficking of corpses. That's sacrilege against Corpus Christi. That's sacrilege. I mean, they have no humanity at all in them. And this is also the taking of life of our soldiers, including our national hero, which is our son Richard Halliday. And that national hero label came from President Trump. Came from President Trump officially in a letter. And even more, I mean, he just absolutely poured out the praise for our son. So that tells you that they know a lot, that a lot's happening behind the scenes, and this is all connected. And even the taking down of Yvonne Rosales. And it's so funny. They absolutely conspired together to take down the legal district attorney, the duly elected district attorney, Yvonne Rosales, right? Um, because she wanted to set a date for hearings to set a trial date for the Walmart mass shooting. And she was also investigating the fraud that was going on with the Walmart mass shooting victims funds, which have been confirmed that the distribution of that money was being fraudulently given out. And so they absolutely went after her. And did you know, even with Bill Hicks and him being the lawyer for Purchase Funeral Homes, that's totally connected to this corpse trafficking, right? Um, eh, you know, even with him, even with Montoya, who absolutely Mr. 2028 stamp, and there's a lot more going on with him that's even more egregious than the 2028 stamp, if you can imagine that. Um, and I'll be talking about that, just doing a lot of fact checking, making sure that I report it correctly. But even with all of that, do you know who the legal DA is for El Paso still, for the 34th Judicial District Attorney is? Who that is still to this day? It's still because of the um, because of the botched installations of Bill Hicks and Montoya. It's still um, Yvonne Rosales, you know. So they tried to take her down, but God didn't let it happen at all. Didn't let it happen at all. She's still uh, the legal, duly elected district attorney, and it's because of that. A spot can never be left vacant, and so she's the carryover, right? She's um, uh, it's just fascinating how the law works, and but they absolutely, Justin Underwood, so guilty in all of this too, with so many too, with Bob Moore, and you see with this little video that I put together, that the media was absolutely giving us lies and lies and lies and lies, and uh, but we have cut through the lies, and we're giving you the truth. And the truth is, wow, politics is a really dirty game, y'all. It's a really dirty game. And you see it that they even wanted President Trump dead. And this is internal, right? This is internal, and it is connected to foreign and domestic enemies. Okay, it is connected to that, um, and to investigations that were going on in 2017 and 2018, to make them, fight back. They wanted to continue doing their crime. And under Biden, they did. They absolutely were trafficking hundreds of thousands of children. And who knows what they did to Fort Bliss. Anything that wasn't bolted down, I think that they traffic it. Um, and of course, what they've done in the barracks to our soldiers, to our volunteer sons and daughters, this is uh, what everybody needs to understand. In World War One and World War II, that was conscription, and the Vietnam War, that was conscription. But in these latest wars, and in the latest service, it's all volunteers, and how that they targeted our volunteers. Uh, wow. Um, because and I'm not saying it makes it worse than if they would have done that to any of our soldiers, but for the future, for the attitude of the country, and that's something I really appreciate about President Trump. He's such a cheerleader for a strong country, and he's just always cheerleading for America, making America great again, right? He's always cheerleading for that, and we do that for our team, right? I know my husband is a Florida State fan, a football fan, because he went to Florida State University, and they just won against Alabama. He called his sister. We got to always cheer on Florida State, and when they win, they're really, really happy. Um, uh, and we are Americans, right? We are Americans. We live in this country, and it has been very, very gracious. But we have very bad actors that want us to hate our country while they steal it from under us. It's a psyop, it's a psyop. and all the entrapments with the 14-year-old girls and the substance abuses and all of that is, I believe, intentional entrapment, to compromise, to control. Um, and I'm even wondering about the ownership of our sports teams. Um, you know, I really do. I question everything because of the evidence that I see right in front of me when it comes to our military, and targeting our the strongest that we have, the strongest are volunteer sons and daughters, and so if you wanted to target anyone, if you were an infiltrator, who would you want to target? You'd want to target the strongest among us, right? The strongest. And I think that there's plenty of evidence for that. Plenty. And Richard was very, very strong, very brave, and couldn't be compromised. And that's why they had to take his life. And so it's been very clear that this is, uh, eh, why it involves 22, 23 agencies. Uh, you know, uh, 9/11 only involved 5 agencies. Richard's case involves 22, 23, because I don't want to miss one, because it's international. Um, it involves so many agencies, and that's why this can get a little convoluting. But if I just repeat it, as our family, we've just decided, if we just repeat it, and put out, uh, uh, all of the materials, that people will piece together how serious this case, this border um, fight, this border battle, this border war is for our country and for our national security. So, um, this is a time to celebrate work, right? To celebrate Labor Day, the ability to work to make the country better. Um, and this is the best thing, best way I know how to make the country better, and that is to fight for justice, to expose the crime, and bring the country together, fighting these false narratives that were dividing Americans, and attacking the presidency of the United States. Okay, uh, I've lived in many countries. Uh, you know, the presidency, our system is the oldest system right now. All the other countries are younger countries because they've had to reboot. They've had to reboot because their system didn't work. Our system works. Our system works, and we need to protect it. And so to have a mutiny, to have foreign infiltrators, and this is foreign infiltrators. Dreams Cabaret makes that very clear, and there are domestic enemies, of course, um, but this is and I'm sure you even see it. You can put it all together about the cartels and their alliances with the CCP, and you can put it all together to see why they conspired to target the strongest among us with all kinds of nonsense, and even with media and movies and music and fashion and whatever. Um, they absolutely, wanted to take our country from us, and they had no problem targeting the president of the United States. And I do. I have a problem with that. And I have a real problem with them targeting my son, the Distinguished Honor Graduate, volunteer soldier in the United States Army. Uh, you know, I have a real problem with it. And, we're not turning away. We are absolutely fighting for our country. This is fighting for Richard is fighting for our country. And that's been made very clear since the first time we stepped onto Fort Bliss and saw the shaking going on, absolute fear. And you could tell that there was a mutiny going on. So, now we have evidence to say it. Now we have real hard evidence, enough of it, mountains of it, that we can say it um, outright. So, and it really helps that God uh, put President Trump into that office now in 2025. That really helps, and you see the mutinous spirit festering, absolutely. So we need to preserve our government, otherwise we'll wind up in a spot we don't want to be in a country totally remade, that is not as gracious, not as gracious as we have now. Can you imagine? It's just because of the gracious spirit, the volunteer spirit of America, that they were able to take advantage of it and exploit it. Yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on, and have a great. We're in September 1st now. Happy Labor Day. Happy Labor Day. And God bless you. And I will be back on. I'm back on tomorrow.